Recording. Oh yeah. So
Got it.
every time. like we the whole purpose of doing these sessions, guys, and we're gonna start to expand on the webinars a little bit, start to do some more giveaways because we got the funded trader that we can actually obviously do some giveaways with and stuff like that. But the whole point of this Friday call is pretty much just to recap what happened in the week, but mainly to look at our analysis this past Sunday, because every week we're giving our free analysis and just to see how you can take advantage. If you guys are a beginner, the strategy we're teaching, the swing trading, is very simple. You know, it's not complex. You're not using 100 indicators. We're really barely even using moving averages anymore. You know,
Right.
it's very just price action, structure, couple different time frames, and trying to swing trade. You know, so
Exactly.
that's what we're pretty much teaching. It's a much more simplified version of what we've taught in the past because, you know, obviously over the last 2 years, I'd like to hope that we've gotten, you know, a little bit better at what we're doing. Right. So
Yeah.
it's called a good amount of this week. Yeah. Good job, Joe. Sab Connect Tak Rang Ya. Not sure what that means, but it sounds pretty convincing. So
And you
yeah, I
probably
mean,
yeah.
we're gonna go through, you know, all the different trade ideas that we put out there. Again, if you're a beginner and you're on here and you don't know what is going on, you know, it's good to participate in the session, but you should get a basis of technical analysis, what you're looking for. Maybe go back after this session, it'll be recorded and put on YouTube, and watch it again, and you can kind of pick up what we're looking for, how we're kind of basing what we're basing our ideas around, everything like that. And we're also going to start putting out reviews of some of the signals from the rapid signals, why we got in on trades, everything like that. Again, just to help you guys, because at the end of the day, at least in the beginning, from what I can remember, the hardest thing was always like actually entering, because it's obviously you know, you're scared to enter, you're scared if you're gonna get in the wrong spot, whatever. But if you just practice, you back test, you guys will get more confident. You'll be able to enter, you know, without worrying, without sweating.
So yeah, guys, there's a chat box at the bottom. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop your question there. We'll answer it throughout the webinar. But yeah, so like as Angelo said, we're going to cover the pairs that we gave you guys and that we covered in the beginning of the week. We're going to see how they played out. And yeah, we're going to walk you through our strategy essentially and just see how we did this week.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'm going to share up here. I think this is you guys can see my screen, DXY here.
Yep.
Okay, so I always like to best define our strategy as it's a trend trading strategy with a focus on price action. So we're always considering trends, right? The higher time frames, then we work our way down to the lower time frames and get closer to some entry opportunities. So you're going to see me on every chart here, start off on the daily, and all we're getting from this is the trend, right? We're going to see where price action was and see where we are now and see if, you know, which way the market's moving. Are we more bullish? Are we more bearish? And then we'll move forward from there. So here's DXY. We don't actually trade this, but we use this more or less as an indicator. That's pretty much the best way to describe it because the dollar has such a large influence on the market, makes up for 80% of all trades. So if the dollar is doing something, you're going to see a large movement on other pairs as well. So we always like to be aware of what's going on with the dollar because of that reason. All right, so we were very bearish. Whoa. Not mean to click that. So we were very bearish here. And we broke below 91.5, which was, you know, key support for a while. We saw in the past that we were rejecting off this point. It was key resistance. We finally broke through it, saw a lower high, and at that point we were bearish. Now we saw a transition back through the monthly. We saw a higher low, we were bullish, and then it was kind of repeating. We kept kind of bouncing above this zone, bouncing below this zone, and we were just kind of finding these shorter term trends here on the daily, right? They weren't that long, but for a few months we were trending bullish, then bearish. But overall, if you just look at it, it's, you know, it's a pretty bearish chart up until now, which is where we saw a large rally, a strong higher low above the monthly, followed by consolidation. And, you know, we obviously we have a presence in this zone now. This wasn't a quick move. You know, we've been in this We've been in this move for quite a while. So we're definitely bullish now. And as long as we're above the monthly, that's pretty much where we're looking on the daily time frame. So let's go to the 4-hour now. Again, overall bullish, right? Now here is, let me just square this up a little bit. Okay. So I have this labeled here because this was a prior range in the past, which means price action was bouncing between these two levels in the past at some point. So this was an area of significance for me, because if price action was really gaining a strong foot in this area, it's probably going to follow that to some degree, right? Meaning that price action could very likely reach the top of this range, this resistance level, and then also find support here if it were to pull back, which we are seeing now, right? So this is probably the most likely scenario for the week ahead. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. 1 second here. This is a live chart. I meant to pull up, but anyway, anyway, we're a little sneak peek at the Sunday analysis where
Yeah, the Sunday
more bullish this
preview.
week. Yeah, the Sunday preview. My bad. I was just, you guys aren't supposed to see that yet. But anyway, so yeah, DXY is interesting, but let's just start over here.
Here we go.
So that's why we look at DXY. So for this week, the idea was that it's either going to continue higher, right? So we're looking for
Oh
a
yeah, I
pullback.
see. It's basically down to the zone that you have marked, ready for
Right.
the.
Yeah, it fell back to this zone. So it's playing out in the fashion that we wanted to. But you guys just saw the after result before the before result. So we'll cover this real quick and then play it forward. Okay, so the idea for this week was that because this was such a nice push here, we really wanted to see it follow through with that. So we wanted to confirm a higher low, normal characteristics of a strong bullish trend, higher highs, higher lows, and then continuing in that way. So this would be perfect to see, pull back, higher low, and then continuation. Or it was gonna, pull back, range a little bit, or if it was gonna go bearish, we wanted to see a bearish break of the range with a lower high below. So it's very clear what we needed to see. We weren't forcing anything. I wasn't looking up here saying, all right, this thing's gonna skyrocket, just playing it very patiently. Okay, so let's play it forward, see what happened. So it pushed up a little bit more, which is good. It really pushed up significantly, right? So we're clearly in this zone. It's bullish overall. We found some resistance here. This was a little bit overextended. So here's the pullback now. And this is what we're looking at going into the week ahead, right? It's very likely that this will confirm a higher low and then continue with good bullish volume. So that's nice. That'd be nice to see the dollar kind of continue bullish. We can get some good trades on other pairs for this next week. But yeah, played out pretty good. So yeah, we'll see if this follows through with that this week. Let's move over to AU, see how this did this week. Okay, so this was overall very bearish. Okay, we do have kind of an expanding pattern here, right? We're getting lower lows, but then clear resistance here. There are some fakes. We're just going to consider this tests of this level, 0.738, 0.74. Either way, it's retesting this zone. So this is actually gaining volume, which is interesting. So we did see it break with pretty good bearish variations right here, right off of this good rejection off 0.74, nice bearish variation. So now we want to see a lower high below that zone, right? We want to see a lower high significantly below these highs here, and follow through on some bearish setups. So that was the idea. If it were to go bullish, we needed to clear 0.74, right? Nice push above, maybe even touch the 200, pull back, get that higher low, and then look for conviction, bullish conviction, to then enter on. So let's see how it played out. Okay, so consolidated a little bit more, and then it pulled back. So there were some entry opportunities in here. This would have been a nice short position, but it wouldn't have played out because our final target would have been 0.73. So you would have had to cut the trade. Probably could have got 1-to-1 on this though. So this was decent trade, not perfect, but it played out enough. Okay, so now it's pulling back now. So this trade path is still valid for next week. In fact, both are, right? Because if it were to break 0.74 this week and give us a higher low above, we're looking bullish, right? Definitely looking bullish if that happens. But if we see another rejection here, could get into another potential short opportunity, and finally we'll get down to 0.73. Right, so that's AU, not bad. Definitely played out, but not 100%. There was, if you are, an experienced trader and you know how to manage active trades, you definitely would have been able to get some profit off this. Good amount, but yeah, didn't follow through entirely. Okay, so that's AU. Let's move over to AJ. So also one thing to add is I actually didn't cover gold last week because there was extreme volatility on market open. So I am gonna jump over to the live chart and just kind of discuss what had happened since that. Okay, but I'll do that at the end. So let's finish up here on AJ. So this is pretty in line with AU, right? Overall bearish. We saw some consolidation. This one was a little more low volume, a little more consolidation that we're able to see here. But either way, overall bearish. We saw that we broke 81.4, nice lower high at that level. But since then, it was, again, more or less consolidating, right? This was a failed break. This did not follow through with conviction. This wick would have been the entry, but it obviously, didn't close bearish. It faked everybody out and pulled back and continued to consolidate. So we're back at 81.4, right? A little bit lower. We're also at the 50%. So we know we don't like to take trades. There aren't conservative trades present within ranges, right? So we just, especially through the way we trade and on the 4-hour, the most conservative entry here would be to continue with the trade, with the trend. So very bearish, we're looking to short. And then on a break of structure with, that lower high that we'd love to spot. So that would be this trade path right here, break below 87.5, nice lower high confirmed when we see some bearish setups after that retest, right? So that would be absolutely perfect. And then very likely that it would drop down towards our negative 27 fib level, maybe even lower. Good risk reward on that. So this is what we were looking for, right? Now, if it broke to the upside, it gave us a higher low above 81.4. That's where we would potentially be considering long opportunities. So let's see how it played out, right? Just really how it reacts in this range was really determining where we were going to go. So it actually continued to consolidate, right? It pushed up. It actually really rejected off 81.4 here and the 61.8. Now, a lot of people would say, why can't we take a trade in there? That's a key level. There's a lot of confirmations. Now, you could, but there is more risk there, right? You definitely could take this trade. It would have played out in this scenario, but we know we're between a range. So this means that pretty much at any moment, the real break of this range could come, which means large volume, which means if you're on the wrong side of the market, if we shorted here, let's say it pulls back and then you get a huge amount of bullish volume because it's going to attempt the break of the range finally, then you'll be caught off guards. And that's just where the extra risk comes in, right? So that's why we like the conservative options. And that's why we always give these to you guys. So this is what we're still looking for this week ahead too. Okay, just want to see this range break. All right, so that's AJ. Let's move over to UJ. All right, so this one was interesting because we saw a large amount of volume. Again, this was pretty much riding off the XY movement. And beginning of last week, we saw that it was very bullish. And here on UJ, that it could fall back into this area of consolidation, right? We saw that price action was choppy with good volume, but more or less consolidating. It didn't know where it was going. There's no real conviction here, right? All up in this area. You can see that until this happened. Large break, pullback, volume continued, got the lower high, right in this little confluence area of these MAs, and then it dumped since then. So that's what you want to see, large volume that's pretty much consistent through the break. Right here, large volume, then we got a wick off the bat, consolidation, and then it pulls back. That's not great. That's not what you want to see. Okay, so this was the real break here. It went bearish, found massive support at 109.15, and then pulled back. Okay, so again, we knew that it could continue to range, so bounce in this area pretty much, or it could continue bullish, where we'd wanted to kind of establish the high well above these prior highs and then give us a higher low. So we're actually waiting for this to finish with the rally, look for the pullback, and then enter. Okay, because again, we want characteristics of a trend. We're not trying to just buy every impulse or potential speculation. You really want to see a higher low. You want to see this kind of give us confidence, right? Because we know it's overextended at that point. So you want to see it push a little bit higher, give us the higher low, and then continue. Or if it didn't consolidate or go bullish, what needed to happen for us to consider shorts, and that would just be pull back below 110 with the lower high below. Okay, like we saw over here, just a nice lower high below 110, and then you could definitely enter short, target back down towards 109.15. So let's see how it played out. Okay, so this again perfect. It pushed up much higher. This is what we wanted. We wanted to see it clear these prior highs, definitely get into the zone, and then a pullback. Right, so this was all looking good, even up to this bearish candle and this consolidation. But it got trapped, right? It just consolidated. It didn't follow through. So at that point, we knew that, especially after this was really, really into the consolidation and we started seeing these dojis, that the likelihood of this dropping was there. And it was definitely looking more bearish at that point, and that's not a strong continuation, right? That's not what you want to see. So it dropped at that point. Now we're back below 110. So going into the week ahead, we're looking for trade path 2, right? Looking for that lower high. Want to see a pullback to some degree, and then enter short. Okay, because once we get that pullback and we see that lower high, that's now the characteristics of a bearish trend, right? Lower lows, lower highs. What's next? Lower low. That's our target for the trade, for the next trade. Okay, so that's UJ. Looking pretty good. But again, like if it was easy to get caught off guard this week because there was, in a lot of scenarios, consolidation and where the move was just developing and there wasn't really a trade. So a lot of people that I found this past week were taking trades that weren't there. And this was really one of those weeks where patience really needed to be, displayed. But let's move over to EJ. So this one was also in pretty heavy consolidation, overall bearish, but pretty heavy consolidation until we got this break, good volume, came back to the lower high retest. And this is where we're pretty damn close to some entries. I didn't like the gap here. So I just wanted to see a couple more confirmations, but this was pretty much prime to short. And we were going to very simply target down towards prior support here, right? Good target, makes sense. Stop loss above, and then, obviously we're short. So what needed to happen for us to go bullish? Break of 130, strong higher low with conviction. So not like this. This broke 130 and then consolidated. We don't want that. We want to break 130, get the higher low, and then see it follow through. Okay, this would have just been, this would have been a fake out more or less. Like you just would have been trapped in this consolidation and then it dumped. Okay, so let's see how it played out. So unfortunately, it just kind of flatlined. So for the week ahead, this is still very likely. It could pull back to 130, catch just a retest of that. But you see how it's kind of like halfway in the zone here. It just makes it harder to find a trade. And again, we're in an area of consolidation. So like, it's not really choosing a direction. It's not choosing a direction. It's fighting. The bulls and bears are fighting here. That's why we're seeing sideways movement. So we really want to see conviction. And then, ideally, I want to see the volume kick in, hit 130, and then continue with the consistent volume down towards our lower target while riding the overall bearish trend. So I'll have more to say about this one on Sunday. I'll analyze this and mark it up a little more, show you guys what the potential is for that next week. But yeah, this kind of flatline. So nothing here on EJ. But I am going to wrap this up with gold. That is actually not the right chart. We're going to the live chart for this one. And we're just going to talk about this for a second and see what happened with gold. Okay, and why we didn't really have a trade opportunity. Okay, so the market opened very, very aggressively this week, right? So we saw this on Sunday, this market opened, the thing just started shooting down. And what do we know with any, speculation, right? Is that it's probably not going to sustain, or at some point it's going to pull back, right? So, and also another thing about news is that it often accelerates a trend. So we were already mainly bearish here. We wanted to see this break lower, come back for a pullback, and then kind of catch a lower high in continuation. Right, so that's the overall trend. So more or less here, news just is accelerating that. So we actually saw price action shoot all the way down to our monthly, pretty damn close back to 1675. And now what's happening? We're pulling back. So this is why we were very patient this week. And we really just wanted to be sure that, you're not entering on news. You never want to enter on news or get screwed on some high volatility, especially on gold. So that's why there was really nothing here to present to you guys. But this week's looking pretty good, this next week. So this trade path is looking very, very likely. Price action's pulling back to test structure that it had broken right at 1800, our nice favorite level. Love this damn level. Every time we're below it, if we can confirm a lower high, we're generally very bearish. And if we're above 1800, if we can confirm a higher low, we're generally very bullish. So it's it's been a really important zone in the last few months. And it's finally nice to see that we're breaking it again and potentially getting ready for another short opportunity. So let's just go to the 4-hour to give you guys some perspective of this freaking volume. Like, market opens with this candle. Like, where's your entry? Where's a safe entry? It's not there. Not present whatsoever. And then, we're shooting we're shooting 500 pip wicks. So, that's not something you want to trade at all. Okay. But now, the candles got smaller, the speculation died out, volume is kind of pulling back, turning bullish, and it's turning into normal market structure, normal market movement now. This is what we want to see. So we'll see how it reacts here at 1800. And then hopefully we can get some good setups this week. All right, guys. So that's pretty much all I got for you guys. Decent week. A lot of the analysis didn't play out, but that's just because price action was moving sideways. A lot of the trade paths are still valid for next week. But yeah, we'll see what next week brings us. And I'll get into more pairs on Sunday. But for now, I'm going to pass it off to Angelo and see how he did this week.
Yes, sir. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to write in the chat. I know someone asked, what's the best session to trade? Really just comes down to like what you're doing day to day, where you're located obviously is a big thing. In my opinion, the best two sessions are going to be the New York, or the London session. So those are going to be the two ones that you're going to want to focus on. But when it comes to swing trading, guys, we always talk about this, like, doesn't really matter about the session as much because you're looking for a more longer term, like couple day move.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. And we always said this too, like when you see a trade, a lot of people will try and associate the volume of a session with entering into a trade. If you see an entry based on your TA, take the entry. It doesn't have to be a certain time. The stars don't have to be aligning in a certain way. I don't need to see the Big Dipper to enter this trade. It's just, if you see it based on what you know and what you've studied, take the trade.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. So we're gonna get started with, we'll take a look at USEF. Let's see in the chat. Yep. So name on TradingView is gonna be what is yours? Forex League?
Yeah, yeah, it's just Forex League. No space, all one word.
Yeah, you could also just go into the Telegram when we post the trade for the week. You could just go to the idea and go ahead and follow Nick's account. Or you can follow my account as well. So
yeah, both.
Let's get started with USEF. So going into the week, guys, we were basically looking at two levels. I deleted the other one because it's not as relevant, but I'm just gonna bring it back just for the sake of the session. So pretty much when we opened the week, we were down here. Let's see, opened right here. So we were talking about overall very bullish or very bearish on USEF. Clearly, we're in a downtrend on the 4-hour time frame, but more importantly, like up on the weekly time frame, we can see that structure has been bearish overall. And every time price, or not every time, but we've already had price visit this 92,800 level, 92,700 level. And when it's come here, rejected, flew to the upside, rejected, flew to the upside here, rejected, flew to the downside. We had some consolidation in this area, flew up, and then recently had some rejection here already. So basically, we were targeting a retest near this zone because of the fact that we've just been ranging in this area. So that tells me that we could have seen some rejection. Now, going into the week, there was two ideas. One of them was to short here. This was like trade idea number one, if we did see some rejection from this level. As we can see here, price came up and we did get this doji candle or the spinning top, but we didn't get any sort of like reversal, like the bullish trend never broke or anything, and we didn't clearly reject the level, and then we just shot higher. So to me, that's when I removed this and started to look at this level and say, okay, once price starts to reject this zone, look where I placed this 4-hour zone. We have resistance here, support here, resistance all along this level. So I'm just basing it on these previous like highs and higher lows. This is why this is a key zone. Price all of a sudden did one of these where we have this candle close, very bearish. So it shot to the downside right here. And once that happened, the lower time frame already has started to break structure. And then we get something basically like this. Price comes up, double tops, and then starts to reject. The safest entry on here would have been to take it onto this candle, but I personally started to take it on this. Right here, we had the break of the support level, the retest of the level, little doji, nothing too crazy, but we already have our like main confirmation is this evening star and then this follow-up candle. And then again, if we go to the 30-minute time frame, we can clearly see this level had broken support and turned into resistance. And then this was like a rectangle pattern that was forming. So although this did retrace on us and put us into some drawdown, there was a ton of confirmation here to take a short opportunity and to get in on this trade right at that level. So if we did get in there, obviously price came up, retested. Now we had this double top. I wouldn't have exited on these candles. I would have instead waited for this to break. Obviously that's respected, and then it dumps to the downside. And then at this point, the trade is pretty much risk-free. We like to put it at risk-free once it reaches 1% of the order. So yeah, at this point, just managing the trade, it's currently up 615 points, 61 pips, which is right about 2 to 1. But remember, it's a swing trade, so the targets are going to be all the way down here. The target is, we're going to use negative 27% for the target on the trade, and that would be a 7 to 1. It doesn't mean we have to do like hold it all the way. This would kind of be the next TP level, would be at the support level to the left right here, and then down here we have the next TP level would be a 5 to 1, and then ultimately if it did manage to break this, it would be 7 to 1. But look at the support level that we have here at 90400. So definitely significant support. That's that weekly zone. But anyway, definitely a good trade idea for the week. Could have gotten in on it again, either on the break and retest right there, or waited for the double top and then entered on a conviction candle right there. But ton of confirmations on that one. Let's go over to USD CAD. This is another one that in the beginning of the week on Sunday, if you guys were on the call, this was interesting because price was moving higher, but as we move up to the weekly time frame, you know, I love to just go up to the weekly and to clear things up. The weekly is clearly still pretty bearish, right? It had been bearish all this time, forming these lows and lower highs. And if we wanted to really map this out, it's very clear where these lows and lower highs are. We have a little bit of consolidation, and then we continued to just do these breaks and retests all the way until now. We had this level, which broke and was retested, but ultimately we broke it to the upside, right? So this thing ended up pushing a bit higher, but we still have this weekly level here. This was tested as support 1, 2, 3 times, as resistance 1 time. And then look at this large wick. So going into the week, for me, I was thinking sells. That was my idea for the week. But coming to the 4-hour, there was like, we were literally right in this area. This is where it opens. So price was right here, and I had put, we want to wait for the break and retest below the 4-hour support, because we're like on the edge of breaking that support. And then look how the market opens. Bullish. Now we're above the level. So we were waiting for it to get back below before taking any trades for good reason. So look at this candle. We're not going to enter on this like wick. Then it shoots back up to the upside again. We're back above. And then finally we get the break. So this thing finally breaks below. And if we come down to the 30-minute, we can clearly see that we're breaking structure here. This support level that formed, we're breaking structure even down here at this point. So now we either can do one of two things. We either enter here, or if we want to play a more conservative, wait for a retest of the resistance level. And I'm just looking left at previous levels. We have resistance all along this area. So ideally, once price got back into this zone, that's when I would sell. And I already have my main confirmation on the 4-hour, this candle. So I would be selling like as soon as it kind of gets back into that zone. So price comes up, it ends up barely retesting it. So again, as soon as price comes up in this area, that's when I would try to start selling it. It's just better value than down here. Think if you sell here, you get a better entry, about 15 pips. Like I'm still down to sell down here, but price is coming up. So as it's coming up, I'd love to get a better entry, and ultimately these would be better entries. Um, and then at this point, let's take a look because this thing again, choppy markets for the week, ended up pulling up. And then look at this. We had the retest of the support. I was watching this all week. What is it going to do at this level? That's where we're currently at. And we started to rejecting it. So this is telling me that price respecting support right now turned into resistance. Really what we need is for price to get below this trend line. Once it gets below here, it's going to have a lot of room to fall. But if you're in this trade, you're just kind of managing it. There's no reason to move stops to break even yet. It still could retrace, and we have this high point here. So we can actually shift around some of these lines. So we have this high point. It's really a supply zone that we have up here. So price dumped off of this level. So if price ends up breaking this level, we obviously don't want to be in the trade. Let's go ahead and mark this. So we have all this room right now where price can retrace on us, find another lower high, but we're looking for this thing to definitely head lower. And we talked about on Sunday a little bit, the dollar. I mean, COVID is really raging, in the US. So there's going to continue to be uncertainty. There's going to be conflicting news reports, all these types of things kind of going on, which is going to continue to derail the progress of the dollar, ultimately rebounding and having like more stability. So that's why I would love to continue to swing trade this one to the downside. Let's look at GU next. GU was just shit all week this week, honestly, up and down, coming up to the weekly time frame. Let's just go over what exactly was the idea for the week. Coming into the week, we had this kind of like, I marked this down. This isn't the best pattern in the world, but we have this reverse head and shoulders going on the weekly, where price is now up at a potential right shoulder. This is obviously a very long-term, move, more of a position trade. So I'm not going to keep that on the chart, but I did have that in mind. But look how on the weekly we came up. Yes, we had this large wick, found support, pushed up, but look how the previous 2 weeks closed with these wicks. This is telling me that buyers tried to push this to this zone and failed. And now we could get a retracement to the downside, which is what we've seen this week. So going back in the beginning, we had, at this point, we were not going to take buys unless price came up above support and found support, then we would go long. And we were going to take sells if price found resistance below the level. So this was pretty much the break right here. We had the break and retest. We could have started to sell on these wicks. Not on that candle, but on this follow-up candle, we could have started to sell. And then ultimately price went down, went up, went down, and now it's back up. So just an overall very choppy week with GU. You could have got in on the re-entry of it. Right here, you got the come down, came up to the resistance level. Then we had this bullish bearish candle combination, and then ended up coming down. And that's up about 62 pips. You could have put the stops wider for sure. You could have even had stops down at this level. I was just being very conservative because of the fact that I wanted to swing trade it down to this zone. So just gave myself a lot of room. But yeah, so it came up, and now we'll go over next week what I'm going to be looking for. It's going to be very similar. It's going to be, again, one of these. We're going to break the resistance, or at this point now, we obviously just made a new low. We came up, made a new lower high, a new low. This could be the next potential area to actually take another sell at. So come through on Sunday. We'll update that analysis. Let's go over to NU next. This thing was super choppy for the week, but ended up actually playing out really well. This was one of the trades I gave out on Sunday. So you guys did watch the call. You could have gotten actually in on this one, but let's just go over in the beginning. When we were on the call last week, this was literally where price was, right? This is where price was. We were talking about in the weekly time frame. Look at the weekly, how it has dipped into this support zone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, like down into this 6,900 level. So what this is telling me is that price is failing to go lower. We're hitting the main level of support. If we go back, all of this, look at this, all support, all resistance. So it's like, all right, this has rejected this level. Where is it going to go next? Most likely back up to this weekly level up here at 73 because we're in that zone. Now coming down to the daily time frame, again, going into the week, we're seeing this like break of momentum. So we're starting to form at the bottom here, a little bit of like a wedge pattern where price was just getting wedged at the bottom. Let me clean this up a little bit. So price getting wedged, broke out of the wedge. Then we had the retest. And then coming to the 4 hour, this is ultimately where we made the decision on this pair. Give it 1 second to load. Yeah, the Prosper William, the recorded version of the call will be, I'll post it on YouTube pretty much after. Trading View just doesn't want to load these days, huh?
I think it's Zoom, to be honest.
Yeah, Zoom just takes up my computer. Here we go. All right. So coming down to the 4 hour, we mapped out trend was very bearish, forming these lower highs over and over and over again. But then look at the break of the trends, broke this lower high, and then broke it, like just surged to the upside at this point. So this is where we were at. We were on the call literally when this candle closed. This was Sunday night at 5 or whatever. This was like in the middle of that candle. So about 8 p.m. is when this candle was closing. And then that was the follow-up candle when the call was over. And then it ended up coming down, shooting up, coming back down, and now we're back up. So this trade is definitely a roller coaster of emotions for sure. At one point we were up 54 pips. So we should have moved stops to break even. Then we came all the way down, literally touching break even. And now we're back up. I still believe this thing's going to head to the upside. We're starting to form this new bullish trend. You know, when it comes to structure, we were in the downtrend. Now we're starting to turn up. And all we need is this thing to swing to this negative 27. And we'll have a nice, 2.5 risk reward gain on this. So NU, look out for this next week. This thing's definitely primed to potentially make another move to the upside. Let's go to GJ next. This guy just ran away. There we go. All right, so GJ was another trade that was given out actually on the call. These were kind of the two top trades from the week. Again, the previous 2 weeks, I didn't get many trades in, but last week I was able to get these two trades. So this definitely, was one of the better moves. So coming in here, boom. Let's go up to the weekly time frame. Weekly time frame, guys, we are within these two zones up here, down here, support, resistance, and then price started to reject the resistance. Ultimately, we're just in the middle. We're in like no man's land. But I was looking at this previous 3 weeks candles. These are all very weak, right? So after this large wick, it was we were assuming that we were going to push back into the resistance, right? But look how these candles are forming. These are reversal type candles. This like spinning top. We're rejecting the resistance right here. So coming down now to the 4 hour time frame, we had mapped out some levels. So 4 hour, we had some support down here, but more importantly, we have resistance. This is where we're looking at next. Resistance. Let's just go back to the beginning of the week. Oh my God. Trading View just doesn't want us to have a day. All right, we're back. Let's see if we can do it again. Oh, we're good. All right. So this was the beginning of the week, guys. Pretty much I was just looking to see, is this level going to be respected, or, you know, are we going to get that push to the upside? It was not very likely that we were going to get the push considering how these previous two candles did close. So that really wasn't the idea. The idea was just to short this. As you could see, we did actually get the better entry. So this was like trade idea number one, which is short over here, but the better entry really is up in this area in the orange zone. Look, best entry, best entry. So if you did wait, that was definitely the better area to enter at. And then at this point, you know, ended up falling over. We're up 76 pips now. So at this point, it's a risk-free trade, moving stops to break even. And we're just going to continue to swing this. You know, target one can be down here at 1.5. Target two can be right here, 2.5. Target three can be back at the weekly support level. So GJ, definitely a good trade for this week. And that's pretty much all the analysis. So we'll give out the rest of the analysis on Sunday, guys. Make sure you're utilizing all of this. Also, if you're interested in the Rapid Signal room, today will be the last day for the 40% off or 20% off. It's currently $40 a month. Right now, we're going to start to put out more trade reviews on the trades that are given in there. There are tons of trade ideas in there for you guys to utilize, and look at them as ideas. Look at them as leads, like for your business. You want to trade, look at the signals. When someone gives a signal for a sell on gold, pull up a gold chart, see if it lines up with your analysis. If it does, you know, give it a go. Don't just blindly enter trades. We're never going to recommend anyone to do that unless there's a rhyme and reason behind it. So for those that are trying to learn, definitely go about it that way. Yeah,
Absolutely. So guys, yeah, that's
Yeah.
it for this week. We'll be covering the same pairs for next week and what the trade projections could be on Sunday, and we'll see you guys then.
Yes, sir. And make sure you guys, if you're ready, take advantage of the Funded Trader Challenge. I know some of you in here. I saw Hamza on here. He's funded now. So if you guys are just beginners, though, like Nick said, come through Sunday. You know, watch the analysis. Yeah, here he is, Hamza.
Hey,
the goat, yeah. So he's going live on Monday. So don't blow your account the first week, bro.
Yeah, congrats to you, Hamza. Good job, man.
It's all right, Adam. Get him next time, but don't just buy a challenge right away. Take some time off. That's my advice. All right, guys. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll talk again on Sunday.
Take care, guys.
Peace out.